Good evening, everybody. I am calling to order the December 12th, 2024 Board of Education meeting. Begin with our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the traditional, ancestral, unceded territory of the Chumash, Tongva, Fernandeño, Tatabaim, and First Nations on which we are learning, educating, and living. Ms. Kano, would you do us the honor of leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you so much.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Quinterio, please take the roll call at this time.
Member Tabbitt,
Present.
Clerk Ponser Kamkar,
Present.
Vice President Agakanian,
Present.
President Weisberg.
Present. Does anyone have adjustments to the agenda? I'm holding. Sure. How much further up is it? Are you sure? Okay. I would like to pull 11A.
Madam President, can I make a suggestion?
Absolutely.
With 11A being pulled, can we just move the interim report to 11A?
Absolutely. Super pumped. Okay. Hold on. I skipped so many pages with enthusiasm. Okay, items for future agenda. Ms. Ponser Kamkar.
Thank you, President Weisberg.
So welcome.
I would like to agendize a review of board ethics policy, please. Discussion and review. Thank you.
Yes.
It does. I wanted to just add a brief addendum to that, perhaps a specific, which is reviewing automatic rotation into board presidency and aligning that with board ethics.
We can do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, to get more specific, that and also conflict of interest. I think were the two that I was concerned about.
Anybody else? Okay. We are going to move on to 8A. Oh, Miss. Oh, I did not. Yeah, you're right. I just realized that. What a fun way to do my last meeting is to mess it up. I am going to report out on closed session, which I did not do because I know everyone's so excited and I was trying to build suspense. So, item 3A, the Board of Education approved the recommendation by the Administrative Hearing Panel as presented. Do I need to read out the votes? I don't, right? Just approved or? Okay. It passed 4-0.
You have voting forms?
Yes,
Okay.
we did those.
Okay,
Do you want me to read those?
please.
Fun. Okay. Please hold, finding all of them. Aha. In the matter of student 960035084, a motion was made by Member Tabbitt, seconded by Dr. Agakanian, and the motion carried 4-0 in favor of the committee's recommendation. In the matter of student 960019570, the motion made by Member Tabbitt, seconded by Ms. Ponser Kamkar, the board voted 4-0 in favor of the committee's recommendation. In the matter of student 960021597, motion was made by Member Tabbitt, seconded by Dr. Agakanian. The motion, or the board voted 4-0 in favor of the committee's recommendation. And lastly, in the matter of student 9600300231, the motion made by Member Ponser Kamkar and seconded by Ms. Tabbitt, the board voted 4-0 in favor of the committee's recommendation. Okay. That was everything, yes? Okay. And now, on to reports from our amazing student representatives. Today, we have the fantastic Lala, who will be presenting, and our other two board members are unable to join us tonight.
Hello and good evening, President Weisberg, distinguished board members, Superintendent Paramo, district staff, and members of the Burbank community. My name is Lala Nestor, and I'm the ASB president at Burroughs, and it's an honor to present my report to you this evening. This week, ASB kicked off our annual Holiday Spirit Week, bringing some extra cheer to our campus as we head into the holiday season. Students and staff participated in fun, festive spirit days like Long Winter's Nap, where everyone dressed in their cozy sleepwear, and Shine Bright, where we all wore our class colors to show our school pride. Teachers have also joined in on the holiday fun by decorating their doors for our winter door decorating contest. The winner will be announced tomorrow, and we can't wait to see which door takes home the prize. In addition to the Spirit Week festivities, Ms. Nakashima's art classes hosted a winter art and craft fair today at lunch. It was a great success, and we're proud to share that 10% of the proceeds from the fair will be donated to the Burbank Animal Shelter. A wonderful cause to support this holiday season. Looking ahead, we have some exciting performances to look forward to. The borough's VMA, IMA, dance, and drama programs will be presenting their At the Movie show on December 13th and 14th at 7 p.m., and again on December 15th at 2 p.m. These programs have been working tirelessly to put together a holiday spectacular, and we are sure that it's going to be an incredible show that highlights the talent of our students. We don't have any concerns at this moment, so are there any questions or clarifications?
Thank you. One more time, when are the dates and times for the holiday spectacular? Because
Okay,
it sounds so lovely.
December 13th and 14th
Okay.
at 7 p.m., and then December 15th at 2 p.m.
Thank you so much. And where can people buy tickets for that? Do you know?
I think they can buy them on the student store
All right.
or just online. I know that the VMA has an Instagram, so.
Okay. Find the Burroughs VMA on Instagram.
Yes.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lala. 8B, reports from our amazing union partners. Looks like tonight, unless I am missing somebody, we have the fabulous Nicole Drebecki from Burbank Teachers Association.
Good evening, Board President Weisberg, Dr. Paramo, district members and staff. It's nice to see a nice crowd tonight, using their voices, so I'm happy to see that. I just want to mention that some of us have had new, either new principals, new APs that are in their first year, and I just want to continue to make sure that Burbank Unified is continuing to train them and coach them, work with them, so that we can get them, exactly where we need them to support students and members. I had 2 site visits in the month of December. I went to McKinley Elementary and I went to Disney Elementary. The more I can encourage you guys to come. I know most of you have other jobs, but the more you can come visit our schools, talk to our members, that would be great. And I know their elementary level is going to have a lot of holiday programs going on that they practice and get prepared for. So I just want to hopefully send an invite to all of you if you have some time in your schedule between tomorrow and next week to see some of those events. And our student board representative, I want to wish you good luck on your final exams. I can remember when I was a PE teacher at Burbank High, our PE final was about 50 questions, and The one that I have at Dolores Huerta is only 10. So I've been warning my 8th graders, there is a big adjustment from middle school to high school. And I hope you work very hard for those grades that you get in your class. I wish you a happy holiday. Thanks for all your hard work in the classroom. And I'm going to wish Dr. Armand Arkikanian, congratulations on his re-election to another term. And I'd like to congratulate Laurette Kano on her victory as well. I think we have 5 board members that are willing to work with our labor unions in fighting for what's best for our students and their members and the Burbank community. And I'm happy that you're here. I did attend a school board dinner with Dr. Armand Arkikanian and Laurette Kano. It was at the Proud Bird down by LAX. The California Teachers Association invited most school district board members from LA County, kind of introduced them to what the California Teachers Association is all about, and it was a great way to build relationships with our new elected board members, and we're all fighting for the same thing, more funding from the state and more help with declining enrollment that our school districts are facing, as well as less people going into the profession of education. So I just want to thank everyone for all your hard work, because we all have the same goal, and I wish you all a happy holiday. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Becky. Moving on to 8C, reports from the superintendent.
Yes, thank you so much. Nicole, I'd like to extend happy holidays to you and to all your membership. I want to thank you for all you do. I understand we had a very productive negotiations meeting today. That makes me feel really good that we can be, as you said, all on the same page with the same goals to support our kids. So I appreciate that. And it looks like Dr. Kanopik has put together a Google Doc for all district staff to be able to hit those events this next week. So you should be able to see some of our faces there. Thank you so much.
I don't think I'm supposed to do 9A. So we're going to move to 9, annual organization of the Board of Education and election of officers.
Yes, good evening, Burbank community. For those of you who may not know me, I am John Paramo, and I am the proud superintendent of the Burbank Unified School District. I've been in my job for a year and 6 months. I think I still look pretty good for having battled for 18 months. I will share with you that the job of superintendent is not for wimps. I am adequately challenged all the time. But I serve proudly, and people ask me all the time if I'm happy, if there's joy in my job. I was just asked this at this CSBA conference, and yes, I am happy, and there is joy in my job. And part of that is because of this. While I am faced with tremendous challenges, and there are oftentimes a lot of weight on my shoulders, there are moments when I am so proud to be the superintendent. And to be honest, tonight's one of those nights. The last year has been a challenge, and I could not have asked for a better partner than Dr. Emily Weisberg. The Divine Miss M and I are good partners together. I always felt in the last year that whatever we were facing, that we were going to do it together. I felt that when I was at a low moment and I needed a pick-me-up, that I didn't have to ask for it. Somehow she was able to sense that. And she always had the right thing to say to me to give me my confidence to do what I had to do. So I am very grateful. I'm also grateful for this entire board. Superintendents get together, we talk, we commiserate together, and what we all talk about is how we can't do our jobs if we don't have a working, functional relationship between board and superintendent. And most of my friends are pretty jealous because I feel that each and every one of you is supportive of me, is supportive of Burbank, is supportive of our kids. and our unions, and there is absolutely no doubt. I could not do my job if I thought that we weren't in sync on what's best for kids. And I think that the community sees that, and I'm very proud of that. So without further ado, I would love to ask Dr. Weisberg to come forward. I have a little something for her, and then we can give her an opportunity to say a few words. You gonna take a picture? Jump. It's a good thing you're wearing your heels.
Small. She's so small. I'm sorry, I just kicked you. Kind of need it. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Promo. I was trying to think about what I was going to say. So some of you may have noticed, I know Abby noticed, that I stood for the pledge tonight, which I haven't done in 2 years. And I wanted to talk a little bit about why, because I think it's really fitting for our transition as we bring on a fantastic new board member and start our next term. So there are some people who have been paying attention to my standing for the pledge, and others who have not. But I chose to sit 2 years ago after Uvalde because I felt like our government wasn't standing up for teachers and students, and I didn't feel like it was authentic for me to stand when that wasn't happening for us. And I've been thinking a lot in the last couple of weeks as we head towards January 20th and inauguration of the new president and his staff. And I can't think of a more important time than right now to serve on the Board of Education. And I can't think of a more important time than right now to stand up and fight for the things that foundationally make our country great and the things that we need in order to make sure our students and our teachers and our families are supported and lifted up and given every possible opportunity to succeed. So it felt like the right time to stand back up because we're, I think, over the next 4 years, going to have to stand up a lot and push back a lot and make sure that we protect and celebrate everybody in our community in ways we probably haven't been tested on before. So I can't think of a better group of people to do that with, including Lorette and the amazing staff. I know that I ask a lot of questions, and so I'm very grateful to everybody who has been at the ready to answer them for the past year and helped me figure out how to run meetings when I wasn't really ready to do that quite yet. And I wanted to say thank you to Abby, Shar, and Armand for being the best partners. Similar to John, we get together with I get together with other school board members and kind of just talk about, how is it going? And we have a really unique relationship as a board. Not only how we function together, but also how we never fail to prioritize our students, our teachers, and our staff, as opposed to prioritizing ourselves and what may come next for us. And so I wanted to issue sort of a challenge to myself, which is to remember that, in board meetings and in everything I do in Burbank, that I'm representing the district. And so really to try to keep what I say in meetings and what I'm focused on our goals, our district goals. Because I think it's really easy to get caught up in, the incendiary public comment and the people who are trying to distract us a lot from the work that we're here to do, that we were elected or appointed to do. So I'm honored to share another term with all of you, and I'm beyond thankful to staff, and to my fellow board members and to the entire community for continuing to hold us all accountable and making sure that we do the job you elected us to do. Thank you. So we are going to move on. Thanks, friend. We are going to move on to 9C, administration of the oath of office for incoming Board of Education members. Woot woot!
Thank you so much. I would like to invite Clerk Ponser Kampkar to administer the oath of office to incoming Board of Education members Lorette Gano, Armand Agakanian upon their re-election, and Emily Weisberg upon being appointed in lieu of election to the board for a 4-year term effective immediately and expiring on December 13th, 2028.
You were elected in my heart. Oh. Okay, I see it. All right.
I don't know where we stand. I don't know what we do. I did this on Zoom last time.
I'm gonna stand here. Okay, you guys are gonna stand like here-ish. All right? Ish. Yeah.
We're repeating all together. Like,
Yes, you're repeating all together.
is this on?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. All right, so you're gonna repeat after me.
Repeat after
We'll
you.
take it slowly at the beginning. All right, so I state your name. You can raise your hand if you want to, it doesn't say so.
I, Emily Weisberg,
Laura Cano,
There we go. Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and I will well and faithfully discharge
and I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Excellent. Well done. That's it.
Oh.
Doesn't count unless you sign it.
We are whole.
I'm so happy you're here. So you're gonna go sit there.
I gotta move my stuff.
No, you don't have to move your stuff yet.
Not yet?
No, you still do you run the next part, and then we move. Oh, I'm so used to it.
Is it okay if we, since the families are here, we get a good photos?
You wanna hold yours up? I signed it. Oh, yours is this.
City asking you shall receive. Did you have a card? What are we doing right now?
Taking a picture? Shar coming?
Hey, I just brought my daddy.
You want your board with you or your family?
So are we taking all the family?
I don't know.
Armand, you made this decision.
Had a choice.
Do you want the board in with your family or do you want one with just your family?
Oh my God.
Wow. Dad, where are my things? You have to get elected to this.
Those are beautiful.
What?
Yeah, they're beautiful.
What, Armand, are we all together? What did you want?
Armand, you need to answer. Do you want us all in your photo? Yes. Okay.
Get in there, Armand. Get
You
in
said
there.
yes.
I don't understand what's happening right now.
I know, we'll go for mine.
Yes.
We're gonna do the second one then, too, okay?
We're just doing, okay.
You have to introduce who's who, Armand.
What, Dad?
You're next.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Oh, you're fine.
So funny.
Would you like them with your father?
Yeah, let's get you down.
Oh, no. He can get in with like Lorette's family.
Okay.
Doesn't need to be by himself. Right, Dad?
Well, with us and you.
Yeah. No, it's okay. What's happening?
Too funny.
This is like. That's what I'm here for. All right, Dad, get in here. Come on, Papa.
That's awesome.
The whole family, Lorette. I love it. My kids sat here and they were like, is it over yet?
They were so little then. They were so sweet. Yes. Okay.
How are you?
Really? Yeah, Thursday nights can be hard. That's why I told you to get here a little early. Yeah, here. No, you missed nothing. I'm sure you wish you had.
Armand, get in the picture, buddy.
Oh my God.
My mom has to bring the.
Okay, just get in.
We have a meeting.
Real fast.
Gotcha.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, now it's.
Thank you, family. See me standing. Oh, I know. Every time it doesn't say yours. I never said that. I didn't say any of it. Go ahead. Watch the basketball. It's one of the things.
You want me to pretend like I'm giving you the oath again?
Thanks, Dad. Love you too. Okay, go on. John, give me a piece of paper.
Just the whole devil thing. Just give me I can pretend. All right. All right, put your hand up. Do you solemnly swear to do all the good things for all the people and hate yourself? Oh, good.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, sir. Do you want a crumble? Yeah. I appreciate that. I can do that. Good. Bye.
Where
do I go?
Congratulations.
Right there for now.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, friends, we are going to ease back into the remainder of the meeting, just so we can get people home. We are going to move on just to approving this to 9D, election of officers. It's just a typo. Beginning December 2024 and ending, what is it, December 2028? Okay. What? Oh, we're talking about the officers. Wow. What a glorious way to sign off. Oh, no. Oh, we got to redo it. Okay. So we first will start with the election of president from December 2024, ending December 2025. I need a motion and a second.
Dr. Weisberg,
Yes, ma'am.
I move,
Yeah.
is that right?
That's right.
I move Armand Agakanian for board president.
Okay, I have a motion for Dr. Agakanian. I need a second.
Go ahead.
Absolutely, Lorette. Seconded by Ms. Kano. All board members in favor, please say aye.
Can we do a discussion first, please?
Absolutely.
All right, awesome. So, Dr. Agakanian, I wanted to give you the opportunity ahead of the vote, right? I'm a strong believer that even though we have traditionally done a rotation, that this is not something that anyone is entitled to, that it's something that's earned.
I didn't, but I don't think they're
I
right.
don't think there is, but
No.
quantify. A little bit.
Yeah, so but I do want to ask you, right, talk to us a little bit about what you see as the role of the president on top of your regular role as a board member, and then how you plan to in the next year work with this board and with the superintendent to advance the goals of the district.
Thank you. So I was going to give a little speech, but I guess I'll start a little early on the speech. So those of you who know me, you understand my style of leadership. I'm a holistic thinker. I'm a complex system thinker. I think in 5 to 10 year increments. That's when I joined the board. That was one of the first things I said. And part of it was to move our meetings to be more, efficient. I know people come here to have work, parents come here, members of the community come here. So that's something I'm going to continue to do so. We were elected to do certain things that were given us, the powers that were given to us by the people, but also by the state, but also, to make sure that people understand that we're also here to represent. At the same time, also, a lot of us have similar interests. We're parents ourselves, some of us are, But I will tell you one thing, I will tell you that I will continue to do so, and with all of your help, of course, is continue our academic excellence. I'm a big proponent of academic excellence. That's what we're here for. We want to make sure we continue to do so. Fiscal responsibility and funding, that's something that's been brought up many times. I will continue to do so as a board president, but also I make sure we look at some of the other sources as well. Fortunately, there are other resources out there that we can look into as well. And I think as a team now having our newest board member, I think we'll have the ability to look even further than what we have looked at in the past. And I know that's an area that you've always been interested in. I think mental health resources is something that I'm very concerned about, and I think we need to continue to do so. As a parent of a 13-year-old, I can see that some of the challenges our students are facing in post-pandemic, and I think together we can address those. Career technical courses, that's going to be big on my agenda, as we hopefully will finalize the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation in our district, working with the city, something that I started last year, and I think we can finish it this year. Of course, the partnerships are very important. But at the same time also, I'm very happy with seeing the board and the staff that we have currently. And I say this in not talking about the past. Some of those who know me, I don't like drama. I don't like gossip. I was elected to do a job, and I'm going to do my job. But I'm also happy that finally I can work with individuals who understand what their role is, but at the same time also, have their first priority is our students, and that should continue to do so. If that's sufficient for you, hopefully I can count on your yes vote as well.
I just want to add that I think this is a really great question we ask every incoming president moving forward. I think that the rotation process and all of this should be more intentional, and it's not a codified board policy. So when we bring back the report on ethics, and when we're at our retreat, I think this gives us a really great opportunity to make some more intentional decisions about us as a board and how we operate. So I'm glad that this is a conversation that we've begun. And I think it's a great question that any incoming president should be able to respond to, right? Because even though we do work as a united team, the president does in lots of ways act as sort of the mouthpiece in certain situations.
I will add one other thing that I forgot to mention. I would also like us to really start also celebrating more of our achievements. I don't think we celebrate enough. I look at some other districts, all due respect to other districts. We achieve a lot, but sometimes we forget to celebrate because we're here to take care of business. I hope that under my leadership, we'll have a little more fun, but also more celebration of our achievements when it comes to not only recognizing individual students, but also institutions. Hopefully we'll go and look at also some of our supporters and donors in the past. But also, again, we just came from a retreat, and I think we have, again, all due respect to other districts, we accomplish a lot. But sometimes when you're really good at what you do, you forget to celebrate your accomplishments. So I think maybe that's something we want to bring back as well. More of celebration of what we've achieved, not only in our schools, our students, also faculty and staff, but also as a district as a whole. That's another thing I want to do more.
Any more discussion? Thank you for that, Ms. Ponser Kamkar. Okay, so we'll go back to. Okay, so we already have a motion and a second. All board members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. May I have a motion and a second for vice president? Can I make a motion? Am I allowed?
Not technically, so.
Then you do it. I'll second it.
Dr. Weisberg?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make a motion to, oh my gosh, it goes right out of my head, to nominate Abby Ponser Kamkar for vice president.
Second. Moved by Ms. Tabbitt, seconded by me.
Can I ask a question?
We can have a discussion.
Should we?
That's your call, sir.
Well, you didn't ask, but just to kind of, the role of vice president is not exactly, it's usually the like one role that nobody wants, right? Because it's like you have to do all the work, but none of the glory, right? But, I'm looking forward to working with Dr. Agakanian to work with Dr. Promo, right? I think we've, even though he's only been in the position for 18 months, I think he's built a lot of trust with the board. I want to make sure that he knows that we support him, that we'll disagree with him, we'll give him feedback, but that we support him, and we support the vision that he's got for this district, right? And I think so much of what the role is of officers on the board is to work to get consensus among board members, right? And figure out where we can move forward and resolve disagreements, because we will have disagreements. But also figure out how do we set an agenda that's appropriate and that is making sure that we're having efficient meetings and meeting on the things that make sense to move the district forward. So those are my thoughts.
Excellent. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Seeing no opposition, motion carries 5-0. May I have a motion and a second for clerk?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I move that we nominate Charlene Tabbitt as the clerk for the upcoming year.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Agakanian, seconded by Ms. Ponser Kamkar. Any discussion?
Ms. Tabbitt, I really want to know how you are signing resolutions.
Yeah.
And reading them all aloud.
What color pen?
I heard I get a nickel for every signature.
You
so-
do?
I'm happy to give it.
I have a reimbursement
Oh,
request.
my goodness. It's a big dilemma. Do I use the L, my middle initial, or not?
Wow.
I did
Oof.
We should agendize this.
Yes, full discussion. Yeah, actually, I will tell you, I'm very excited about getting to the outside work, getting to do the Clerk's Cup with Ms. Clark, our city clerk. Just the added fun as a Burbank alumni, and Ms. Clark is a Burroughs alumni. I think we could have a really good time and make it fun for the kids. We could switch, we could be crazy, do all kinds of stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. So when I was clerk, I think it was during the pandemic, and I didn't get to do it. So super excited about that.
That's great. Any more discussion? Okie dokie. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Seeing no opposition, motion carries 5-0. We will now change places on the dais. We should have music, like, do.
Well, all right, good evening, everyone. According to the agenda, I'm supposed to give some as the incoming president, some remarks, which I am more than happy to do because I did prepare some remarks. So again, everyone, thank you very much for being here this evening. It is an honor and privilege for me to stand before you as the incoming president of the Board of Education. The last time I was the president of the board, it was right at the beginning and height of the pandemic. I actually never got to shake hands during the graduation because it was virtual. So here I am. So hopefully this year I will be able to, but I don't want to jinx it. But yes, thank you, Ms. Tabbert. I do want to, I'm deeply grateful for the trust that has been bestowed upon me. I'm excited to being, in this journey because it is a journey. Education, after all, is a journey. I've always said it. People always ask me, why education? Because, to me, it is the most powerful weapon in the world, and I believe it. First and foremost, I want to express my gratitude to our outgoing president. You've been a great partner, and you've done a fantastic job. So thank you. And I do want to also welcome our new board member, Ms. Kano, who's also a teacher, which is always great to have teachers on our board that you understand the system. You and I had conversations about how it works, and I'm happy that you're here, and I'm happy your family is here to support you. I also want to take this opportunity to thank my family, starting with my lovely wife, Dr. Gayane Gasamanian, our son, Arame Agakanyan. Where are you, Arame? There you are. Who is now a 13-year-old 7th grader at Muir, and he's doing very well in school. And I also want to thank my mother, Annette Keshishian, who was a former teacher, and of course, my sister, Nora Agakani. I call her Nora Jan, which is my sister. And of course, I have my family here, my aunts, and Carmen, where are you? There they are. I have a very big family, so this is not even, not even, yeah. Thank you. But this is important because, when I was going to run for re-election, I did ask my wife if I should do this again. It's a lot of work for people who don't know. It's not easy. Some people enjoy campaigning like I do. My wife doesn't like it, nor does she like Oh, before I forget also, I want to thank Thomas Torres, who was my campaign coordinator. Thank you, Thomas, for all your hard work, a Burbank resident himself. But it is important to know that it helps when you have someone, when your own spouse is, and your own son is behind you. And thank you, Arama, for all the walking that you did. Even though I paid you, but you did walk. So. But you did great. So, but I'd say that during my campaign, we are facing challenges as a district, but it's not only us, it's the entire state. And I think with this team, we're going to be able to not only beat these challenges, but also excel. And also, hopefully next year at the convention, I would like to have us do some presentations. Some of the programs that we've done here, because some of the workshops I went to, I was like, well, we could have done this, or even we're doing a better job. So I'm sure my vice president has this on her radar now to do probably a workshop. Abby, I know you love stuff like that. But again, we're going to work here as a team. We're going to work closely with our superintendent and staff. I think it's important for people to understand also that, as my colleague used to say many times, we're all humans. We have our limitations, but we're here to listen to you. Transparency has been a concern. It's been brought up many times, and I can give you my promise that that this board will make sure not only we're transparent, but also we're going to be addressing more and more about some of the things they're doing. I know we've been talking to the superintendent about having, looking at some positions to address these more in the community as we're growing. So I'm very happy about that. In closing, I look forward to working together and make a meaningful difference in the lives of our students, families, and educators. Again, thank you for your confidence in me, and I look forward to a productive and successful year. Oh, sorry, was I too far from it? You want me to start again? No. Thank you. All right, thank you very much, everyone. Any of my colleagues want to make any comments? Ms. Weisberg?
Yes. I just want to officially welcome Miss Cano, and I want to apologize for mispronouncing your name. One of my favorite teachers ever was my high school English teacher, spelled her name just like yours, but pronounced it Cano. So thanks to Miss Tabbitt for correcting me, but I just want to welcome you, a fellow K through 12 educator. I know that the election process was not enjoyable, but that's putting it mildly. But I want to say that I think I speak for everybody when I say it's so exciting to have another member who's focused on students and teachers, who has intimate knowledge of what it's like to work in a school. You come to us with so much experience with English language acquisition, which is something we desperately need. And I think, that's an area that I am certainly not strong in. So I'm really excited to look to you and your leadership in those areas. And I think I'm just looking forward to learning with and from you in the next 4 years, and just so happy to welcome you aboard.
Is it okay with the board that I know our son came late? Is it okay if he can come up here quickly for a photo before he leaves? All right, man, why don't you? And Guyan, can you join us, please?
Can I step closer?
No, if you pass it, you actually have to wait.
You can get everyone too. It's okay. Emily, we can get a group photo too. Yeah, if you want. No, he can go. Emily,
Stay there. Good, how are you?
John, can you join us? Hold on.
How's your suit?
Over here.
Perfect.
Thank you. I love you. Go do your homework. Now you can do your homework, Arama. For our viewers, can our new board member just your correct pronunciation of your last name, please? And please say a few words, because if you want.
I didn't have it.
Actually, the pronunciation of my name, it's Kano. The A is the ah. The ah. Yes, Kano. And the first name is Laurette. And no, and that's the one that always gets messed up.
So,
But
Ms. Khan, a little bit about yourself.
okay, a little bit about myself. I'm very happy to be here, and I am definitely still a working teacher. I actually had a school site council meeting after school today, and then hit like an hour of traffic for coming home, and then of course I had to stop by JCPenney. So, I'm definitely. My grandson is here in Burbank, and you saw my whole family there. All the kids in our family have gone through Burbank schools. So I am super excited because I just know what we do. And I do often compare it to other places and see, and I just sometimes don't, as something kind of Armin said, that we don't celebrate it enough. And I just want to make sure that the community understands and the teachers understand that we're doing amazing things here. I mean, just amazing things here. So I'm looking really forward to this. It's going to be a growth journey. It's going to be definitely a, steep curve on the learning curve but I'm relatively quick learner. So I'm looking forward to this. Really looking forward. And I really am looking forward to working with this. All the people here that are associated with it.
Welcome.
I do want to personally congratulate you. And on my behalf of my family too. Again, this is a very small number, so. I saw yours too. I think we're gonna do well getting together and with the families. All right. Any other comments from my board members? Okay, moving on. 10, request to address the board. 10A, public communications on agenda items on any subject within the jurisdiction of the school board. An individual or group representative present this evening may address the Board of Education on any agenda item or any subject within the jurisdiction of the school board by completing the white request card and turning it to Ms. Quintero. Speakers are also requested to state their names prior to speaking the board. No more than 5 minutes may be allowed to each speaker, except the unanimous consent of the Board of Education. The superintendent may refer to the matter to the proper department for review. The district is providing alternatives to in-person attendance for viewing and participating. Do we have any virtual speakers this evening? Okay. Okay, why don't we start with that? Okay. Well, who was first? Okay, why don't we start with Rialta? Are we ready to go? What's the name again? Mr. Roberta? Roberta Vialta, you can speak if you want. Mr. Vialta? Okay, do you want us to come back to him? All right, next we have our now Assembly member, Mr. Nick Schultz. Mr. Schultz, how are you this evening?
I'm well, Dr. Agakanian. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Outstanding. Well, I want to first of all just say I apologize that I can't be there in person. Serving a district of 500,000 people poses challenges, and while I'm so excited that our soon-to-be Congress member Laura Friedman is off to bigger, better things, she took most of the staff with her. So I apologize for not having someone there in person tonight. I just wanted to extend my heartfelt congratulations to Dr. Agakanian and Dr. Weisberg on your reelection. And then, of course, to Ms. Cano, congratulations on a hard-fought campaign. Really excited to see you there on the Board of Education. At your next meeting, I will be coming in person with certificates to congratulate and thank all of the outgoing officers, and just want to say best of luck to all of the incoming officers. I look forward to working closely with all of you in the upcoming year to further public education in the state of California. And of course, thank you to all of the incredible work of Superintendent Paramo and his staff as well. Have a great meeting, everyone. And again, sorry that I can't be there in person.
Thank you, Assembly member. And we look forward to, I think it'll be on our term, your first child will be attending our schools, right? I don't know. I'm talking about Nick, I'm sorry.
Stop staring at me. Yeah, that was so weird. I got excited. I thought like there's something.
Maybe there is never. Holiday season.
Is Roberto back?
All right. Roberta? Yes, thank you. All right, we'll come back again. I'm sorry. And next we have Mr. Eric Carter. Thank you.
Good evening, President Dr. Agakanian, Vice President Panzer Kemkar, board members, staff. My name is Eric Carter. I'm a special education teacher here in the Burbank Unified School District. Every year when we do our board reorganization, it feels like a refresh or a reboot for the year. This is especially true after an election year. This event coincides when we start getting data about the budget, which is always a tough topic, especially in a district where the local control funding formula, or the LCFF, doesn't provide the necessary funds to run our district appropriately to support our school district. Tonight, I wanted to propose the idea of bringing back some of the activities we did during Measures QS and Measure I. We held several town hall meetings to educate our community about the LCFF. Many times I'm out in the community and I still hear a lot of misinformation that, well, my property taxes help fund the school district. And we have to kind of say, no, that's not how it works. And I think that it continues to happen over and over again, and to say, well, we got all this new development happening and all these housing prices are so high, so that should support our school district. It's like, no, this is not how school district funding works in the state of California. Other states, yes. Our state, no. So I feel we need to continue to teach our community about the inequity of the LCFF, and also to reach out to our state elected officials. I hope Mr. Schultz is still on, but we need to reach out to our state elected officials and tell them that this inequity needs to end. We need to change the LCFF. It's not working any longer. We also need to explain about the runaway fees that the state pension funds charge our districts. We are charged the same flat rate as districts who receive double the amount in LCFF funding. This is a flat tax, and as we all know, flat taxes are regressive. This hurts us considerably. So I hope we can begin these activities again and doing these sort of town hall meetings or educational events, bringing in our foundation, bringing in our PTAs, bringing in our employee associations as part of this process. Because our community, even though many of us have explained to many people how school funding works, there's still a lot of false information out there. Some people purposely, sadly, spreading misinformation about how it works. Lastly, I just want to say congratulations to Dr. Agakanian for his reelection, Dr. Weisberg on your, appointment, as we call it, to the board again, and especially you, Ms. Cano. It was wonderful working with you on this election campaign. I had a great time working with you on educating you on the district, on some debate preparation, and educating the community in your Area 1, sorry, it's an area, not district, Area 1, about why we should support you, and I'm happy to see you up here. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
And next we have Bob Olson. And that's it. Those are the cards.
Mr. President, members of the board, my name is Bob Olson, okay? I have known Lorette Cano for 2 decades as a neighbor and as a friend. And given that the voters have recognized her for being seated as a member of this board, I wanted to come forward and make a personal comment about her as a board member. I'm no real stranger to the podium. I spent 21 years as a member of the Water and Power Board, and in those 21 years, I learned to develop a sense of what characteristics and what qualities were those that made for highly contributing board members, and I recognized that those qualities existed where Lorette was concerned. And the one quality that I think came out almost overwhelmingly in my experience as a board member is a great board member listens, okay? And that's sometimes is a quality that people underestimate, that to truly listen and then to truly respond thoughtfully is what I think distinguishes a board member from a highly qualified and highly contributing board member for the community. And I can say with firsthand experience that I believe that Lorette will bring that quality. I believe she will listen. I think the community has gained a great deal in her being appointed to this board, that she will listen and she will respond thoughtfully. And I think that of and by itself will help the board contribute, or help the board achieve whatever its objectives are. And I just wanted to make sure that I had an opportunity to let the public know that this decision that they made in electing her to the board can be backed up by a lot of qualities that are going to be brought to the table. So thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you. We have one more card coming in. Jerry Malady, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you? It's been a while. As I start, I want to hope I maybe a little compliment to you guys. If I run over, you won't forgive me. Is that I was lucky to represent both Burbank and Glendale at a national conference last week in warm, not Providence, Rhode Island. But it was really nice to say that we have a relationship with our district that we don't always agree. We have our disagreements, but we know how to work together. I thought it was pretty cool to be able to say that to other people. So. No. I have a few things I really want to bring up tonight. On January 6th coming up, we're talking about phone policy, the new phone policy at boroughs. And I've looked it over many times, and I feel like as I'm not ready to start it because I feel like there's all these holes. Like there's we have to call parents this and call parents here and call parents here, and then who gets the phone? Who takes the phone? Who gets the there's a lot of these. Where they go, there's these empty things, and it feels like I don't feel prepared in 3 school days to do this. So it's really, I just want to bring that to attention because I really think it is way necessary. If you've never been in the classroom, you have no idea what it's like. It's tremendous, and I really want to see it be successful. But I feel like I don't know, maybe I need a mentor or something. I don't know. I'm not ready to start. And plus the other thing too is I call home and all that. This is my 25th year teaching here, and I just want to bring this attention because it really bugs me. I'm sure most of you don't have this problem in your offices where you have your desk and your computer and your information. My desk be like over there, and my phone be like over there. And I'm supposed to call parents and talk about their grades. And all I've heard is well, get your own phone. Like, really? I don't think that seems like a solution to me. This has been going on for, like I said, at least 23 years since I've been in the new building. Okay, since November 5th, this has really been bothering me a lot, is that as a history teacher, I feel like we have a duty to not let history forget itself. But we've been told not to make waves, not to bring up politics, not to. In fact, a parent who didn't call me, but called my principal said I was being too political in a government class. Go figure. But these are things I've heard since November 5th. That who's Emmett Till and what's the big deal about him? The Holocaust, it needs evidence. Abortion, well, the girl should be punished because it's her fault. She shouldn't get pregnant. Anti-trans stuff. I can go on, but you can get the old it's not, it's your body but my choice. I've heard that. I haven't heard that person, but I heard kids report back to me. So these things are going on, and I just feel like, wow, this is an unsafe place. But when you bring something up, you get this they just throw these things, and I try to say this is true, but I try. Here's their source. They don't give me a source, and so I think that we're also failing our kids, not just with digital literacy when we go back to the phones, but also media literacy. What is our good source? I don't think we're teaching our kids well enough in that area. And, okay, cool. Another thing too is I got an email today about grading, like how to be fair graders, and it's wow. The point is that there's a saying if someone came from 100 years ago, like Rip Van Winkle, and came to America, the only thing they would recognize would be high school. Because it really hasn't changed in 100 years. And grading has not really changed forever. I mean, all of this is points. Let's get how many points we can get, how many points we can get. And I've done a lot of research. I did some research over the summer. I brought it to my principal. I brought it to other places. And so I'm just one person. I can't do anything about it. But I would think that we should, we want to be a good school district, rigorous school district. I think we should look into other things than just how many points can we accumulate, because in reality, whatever college you go to 6 months from now, no one cares you had 3,000 points in your English class. Boy, I thought I had more, but just thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Any other cards? Seeing none? Yes, the virtual is still there. Roberto?
Roberto, you are unmuted, Roberto. If you want to speak to the board, you can do so now.
All right. All right, thank you. 10B, Superintendent District Staff comments?
Yes, thank you. I did make comments at the beginning regarding our board president, but now that we have everybody seated, I just want to say that I am very much looking forward to working with the board, especially our new board member, Ms. Cano. Had a couple opportunities to meet with you, and it was a great experience, and I'm just very excited to have you on the team. One of the things that I enjoy most about working with the board is the level of authenticity there is in what you are concerned about. We don't always agree. I think that's a good thing. I don't think that we're going to make good decisions if we were all cookie cutter. You challenge me, especially during agenda review. You have so many provocative questions, and I'm glad that most of the time I can answer most of your questions, but some of the times you guys stump me with things that I haven't thought about. And the pushback is welcome, because then I go back and challenge our staff to answer the question and to rethink what we thought was a good plan. So I appreciate that. I welcome that, and I'm looking forward to working with everybody. I want to echo what you shared, Eric. I think that as we move forward, especially in the next year, I am hyper-focused on working with the community, working with our business partners to have conversations about how our state funds schools, because I need the public to understand how we get our share or lack thereof. And why we need to seriously look at and have a conversation about the potential for a parcel tax. So I can't think of a better time to start having these town halls and educating the public on how we're funded as we move into the spring. That's something that is on my mind. It's something that Mr. Cantwell and I have spoken to the board about, and I think we're on the same page. We need to map out what that looks like for the spring, but we will do that very shortly. Would also say that to the teaching community, to our classified staff, to our administrators, to our families, it's been a rough couple years. It's a challenge with the budget. That's absolutely a true statement. Last year, we cut about $4.5 million. That's pretty deep. This year, it looks like we're going to need to cut about $1.5 million. I will share with you that we attempted to cut that last $1.5 million before the summer, and we were halted in that process. So we had to carry that over until this school year. I think that though last year and this year are the periods in time that you will see the biggest cuts. I think that hopefully, depending on how things work out at the state, that we might be, I think we can be hopeful to better times, but I say that cautiously. We'll know a lot more in January when the governor releases his budget and we get a peek at what it's going to look like in the near future. But I am hopeful, and I want the community to be hopeful. And I know that the cuts aren't always easy, but what I also know is that we work really hard to communicate early and often with all stakeholder groups to understand what are the priorities, where are each stakeholder group's priorities, and we do our best to find the right path forward. And I truly believe that we'll do that moving forward. And I want the public to know that. Mr. Mulady, it's so good to see you. You should come more often. I don't want you to be stressed out about the cell phones. If you need more professional development, I will work with Dr. Macias and with Mr. Knoop. Your concerns sound very familiar. I know that the Burbank High teachers felt the same exact thing. So I think that that's normal. I have my own personal litmus test that I use, especially with the community of Burbank, especially because I've been here for 20 years. And here's what I will tell you. I have not had a single phone call since August about cell phones from parents at Burbank High. So I think that what we have going is potentially a very good thing. Please understand this is not in policy yet. So it's a trial run. If things don't go as smoothly as boroughs, then we will go back to the table. We'll figure out what we need to do. But I will make sure that you get additional support along with other staff because I'm sure you're not alone. Not happy to hear about the phone desk configuration. Please let me take a look at that. See if there's anything I can do. You and I should have a meeting and just sit down and talk about grading because I attempted to have that conversation at John Burroughs High School as an assistant principal, and it was not an easy conversation. I have very strong opinions about it. But at the end of the day, here's what I'll say, is teachers are licensed and credentialed by the state of California. And because of that, they have the autonomy of how they want to structure their grades. I'm respectful of that. I think there are things that can be considered right now in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion that should be considered. And if that takes education and professional development, then I'm willing to do that. So I will leave it at that for now. But this is a big conversation, and I'm more than happy to engage in it with anybody. Thank you.
Board members?
I'm first now. Fun. Okay. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to Assemblymember Schultz. Thank you to Mr. Becky. I think it's a great point. We've had a lot of conversations about making sure. I know that Dr. Paramo and Dr. Macias have already put in place some new training for our new APs and our principals. Point well taken. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Carter. I love the idea of town halls. I think our LCAP process has become so much more positive and instructive and accessible, and I think town halls can only add to that. And I know that PTA has also spoken a bit about trying to do some information stuff, and that's a great opportunity for us to work with them. Mr. Olson, thank you for singing Lorette's praises. Couldn't agree more. Mr. Mulady, I know that, actually, was there a training at Burroughs? Okay, so I think I can't imagine that you're the only person with questions. So I wonder if we can follow up just with Principal Knoop and make sure that there's another opportunity to walk through it. I mean, to your point, we're very short on time before we go to break. But even if it's an email that like highlights, because, you know, this is a big change, and to your point, it's much needed, but we want it to go well, and there's always going to be growing pains too. So the more we know that, the more issues we know people are having, the better chance we'll have to explain it and clarify. So thank you for that, and I know Dr. Promo will follow up. Yeah, that would be great. So maybe we'll try to do a Zoom. But either way, knowing what the concerns are only helps us create a more effective policy. And then the other thing I wanted to address is, you know, your comments about post-November 5th. As a fellow history teacher, I feel your pain, my friend. I do want to say, though, that a lot of what you read that students were saying really does qualify as discriminatory and hate speech. And when students say that, we have a zero tolerance policy, so that needs to be reported. I know it can feel like extra work for you, but that's not idle conversation. I mean, we sent out an email specifically after hearing a lot of the "your body, my choice" language. It's unacceptable. and almost everything you read out is unacceptable. So there's sort of two conversations happening. One is the like, what can I get away with that the kids are saying that we need to be reporting? And then the other end of it is how to engage with conversations around our political climate in a way that is inclusive, not exclusive. And I think my experience has been one of the things we often assume about teachers is that we innately know how to have these very difficult conversations. And we're not like born with special like skills to be able to have them. And so often having those that support in place so that we can have conversations that are uncomfortable but not unsafe are so important. And I do think that sometimes there's this blurry line between what people think is political versus having conversations about the mechanics of our politics and our Constitution and when it's violated and when it's not. And so I think I think every history teacher, at least in California, or at least in Southern California, or at least in Los Angeles, is probably grappling with this. I know that I am. But I think it's an important conversation to have with site admin and also with Dr. Paramo and Dr. Macias to see how we can support you in that. But I just want to reiterate again that there's a difference between how you navigate political conversations and hate speech coming from students. So I hope you feel empowered to let us know, because that's not acceptable. And hopefully we can join your phone and your desk together as friends. Yes, merge them. I also want to say that I don't know exactly what you're saying about grading, but I do find that we are stuck in the medieval times, and there are so many pieces of research and data and best practices on contemporary forms of grading that are much more effective than the way we currently do things. And I hope we continue to have that conversation.
Thank you. Ms. Kano? All right. Thank you.
Yes, it's okay to pass. You'll have to get used to this a little bit, so it'll be okay. Thank you to everyone who came out this evening. Virtually Assembly Member, that's so fun to say, Nick Schultz. Appreciate you. Nick I have some time set aside with Nick so we can talk about with Mr. Carter, so we can talk about the LCFF and what he can help us do at the state level, amongst my favorite topic, Mr. Cantwell, right? PERS and STIRS, and that 19 and soon to be 29% repayment for a tiny district like ours is a killer. And so we are coming with some ideas, because I love it when folks, hey, here's the problem, but here's some ways to solve it, so that I'm not just throwing it at somebody, but, there's some things that we could do that alleviate our pain, put more money back in our pocketbook so we can do great things for kids, which at the end of the day is what we need to work on. So, Mr. Carter, thank you very much for your time, and also for being sometimes I listen to too much news or get into one of those anxiety frenzy thing, the henny penny, the sky is falling, the world is coming to end. And Mr. Carter is someone I can call who kind of, no, it's going to be okay. We're going to do this, and this is happening. And so I appreciate our friendship, sir. Thank you. And I appreciate also the help that you gave during election season to folks. It was greatly appreciated. Elections are over. That's the best way to put it, John. Thank you. Thankfully, and we can enjoy ourselves not in another 2 years in election season. So for now, we got business to attend to, and we can work on that and focus on that, which is fabulous. Mr. Olson, what a delight to have a community member come down and speak, not only because because of your relationship with Ms. Kano, but to speak about how you feel personally about our newest board member, but not only that, but to hear about what you as a fellow citizen thinks about what qualifies as a good representative. And I appreciated hearing that. Being on a board, you don't always get to hear the best you get to hear those complaints and how are you going to fix those complaints. But so it was really nice to have someone come down, take the time out of their day to say some positive things, and I thank you. And I'm right there with you. Mr. Milady, my fellow Trojan, sir, it's always a joy to have you. Here we all go.
Okay, settle down.
We're contractually obligated.
They take our diploma away.
Let's see you do that when your student loan payment comes.
Oh, yes, we do.
I do is like cry.
Yes. Anyway, so thank you for coming down and sharing with your thoughts. I thought Dr. Paramo had some, and Dr. Weisberg had some good ideas to maybe help get through this. I also thought maybe you have some friends at Burbank High who've already been doing it for a semester. You know, what's that old game show? Reach out. Phone a friend. There you go. I have a couple, if you need some help, who was excited about it and then wasn't, and then became re-excited about it again. So maybe you can hear from them and how they conquered this, the phone requirement. So thank you. Is this the time we get to say?
No.
That's later. I always get that wrong.
I know, because it's relatively new.
You're right. Okay, thank you for that. Anyway, thank you to all the speakers.
I don't have much to add to what my colleagues have said, but thank you to all the speakers, and especially to Mr. Olson for singing our new board member's praises. We're very excited to have her. I was very excited to get her elected. And Mr. Milady, I think that those kind of conversations are difficult as a teacher. They're difficult when you're a parent and kids say stuff that kind of comes out of where you're not sure where it's coming from, right? And I have a family member who kind of likes to press buttons, right? And one of my most effective questions to ask when he says things that he knows, that I know that he is doing to press my buttons, is just to say, what would make you say that? And often that will at least cause them to think a little bit. Some people will double down, but it might be a strategy, right? Because what they may be doing is trying to test to see, is this appropriate, right? And so you can say, it's not appropriate, right? And that does one thing. But if we want to look to it as, if you feel like from your professional judgment that it's a potentially teachable moment to say, let me tell you where the evidence for the Holocaust is. And I know that Burroughs has a speaker series with Holocaust survivors, right? Then you can have that conversation with the student. But sometimes that's not where the conversation is. But that is just kind of one thing that occurred to me as you were talking. But yeah, it's tough right now. And Mr. Carter, thank you for your suggestions. I think we are ready to put together a calendar for next year in terms of both how LCFF works and what are the big gaps for what we want to do versus where we are right now with the funds that we've got. So thank you for all of our speakers.
Thank you to all my colleagues. One of the fun things about being the president of the board is that you go last and you don't have to add much. Look, don't give me that look. But yes. But I do want to also thank Mr. Olson. It's very nice of you to come forward and acknowledge our new colleague, and you were right on spot. I think voters saw that about her, and that's why she's sitting here. So thank you for the positive feedback, and of course for your friendship. I've known Mr. Olson for a while too, so he has to remind me where we know each other from. But Mr. Milady, also thank you. I do agree with you. I think one of the things I'm going to do for this coming year is to have more town halls to inform people, to really tell them what it is we're doing, but also some of these programs we need to just update them, whether we like it or not. I want to get to a point where people are like, oh, another town hall, okay, that's enough. But I think it's important. Also, we are obligated because this is the bond money we're talking about. So look forward to more town halls. And again, Mr. Carter, thank you very much. Thank you for being there. Thank you for being a positive voice out there, but also, for someone who's always involved, I see you in more events than some other elected officials. So thank you very much, Mr. Carter. And thank you for always being there and for the great ideas. And I think moving forward next year, I think we need to, now that we have our own congresswoman now and our own assembly member, I think as a group, some of us know them pretty well enough where we can do more advocacy work, but also I always say, if you don't come forward and really bring these issues forward, nothing's going to happen. Do we have the advantage now that they are members of our community, that they know the community better? Yes, but if we don't advocate, nothing will happen. So hopefully we'll see more people coming forward, working with you, the rest of us, advocating for more dollars for our students. Thank you, everyone. Moving forward, so we're moving to 11C. We've jumped out ahead. Are we doing 11B? I thought we were going with 11C first, because you can.
I see. No, you're right.
Yes. So we moved 11C forward. Approval of first interim report for 2024-25 fiscal year. Mr. Cantwell.
All right. Good evening, President Agkanian, board members, Dr. Paramo, colleagues, and community. I have Dr. Abdelhamid is going to be joining me for the presentation here shortly. Before we get started on our first interim budget revision, I just want to acknowledge the incredible work that she and her team, led also by Harmony Tracks, our budget supervisor, did to complete this budget on time. Just a reminder to orient ourselves on the budget process. We adopt a budget in June. We then have our first revision. It's our first interim revision that is required to come to you by December 15th for approval. We will have another revision to the current year budget, which will come to you in March. And then we bring forward to you the unaudited actuals in September after we close the books. So unfortunately, I suppose maybe somber good news. The good news is that the bad news didn't get worse. That's what makes it somber. We do have a positive certification. Just a reminder, we are required to ensure fiscal solvency for the current year plus the 2 out years, making up a 3-year period that we're always looking at for our budget. And so we positively certify, which means that we have the adequate reserves to ensure that we can meet our current year obligations plus 2. We are required to use a number of assumptions when we start looking at not just the current year, but actually the out years. And I want to emphasize that these are all very fluid. Again, we use the best information that we have at any given moment. For instance, the Department of Finance has told us currently the formal number to be using for COLA for next year is 2.93%. However, at the CSBA conference last week, our staff and some of you board members were informed that I believe the LAO's number is in the 2.4 range, and I believe school services is actually recommending and viewing it as even lower, closer to 2.1. Just to let you know how that would impact us, is that the current LAO recommendation would result in about $900,000 per year in perpetuity being cut from our budget. So again, in a multi-year projection, when we start looking at the ending fund balance in that third year, that would mean a loss of 1.8 million, 900 next year, 900 the year following. If it were the school services number, that would be a $1.5 million cut for next year and the year after. So again, a net $3 million loss from what we're presenting tonight. So again, these are fluid. January is when we get the next information from the governor. That's when he presents his January proposal for next year. Yes. Dr. Weisberg.
At one of the sessions I was at, the woman who was presenting, she's CSBA, said that there's some concern, I just wanted to know if you had heard about this, that I guess usually the federal budget shows up sometime in January. They think it'll probably be pushed to February or March, but that there was some concern that they would push it a whole year, which would mean that we wouldn't get it would screw the COLA up. That they could essentially ride out the whole entire fiscal year with the previous budget, and then that would eliminate COLA.
I have not heard that. You're saying that's at the federal level?
Yeah.
So distinct from the federal COLA, the state is statutorily set with 8 factors. And I think that we're able to still receive our COLA independent of what's done at the federal level. So again, those 8 factors. But yes, it could impact some of the federal funding sources.
Thank you.
So Dr. Weisberg, to your point, certainly, again, a lot of this is very much in flux. And so again, this is a snapshot in time that will surely be different in even just a few weeks, and certainly when we come back to you in March. We do factor in, though, things for the current year as well as those out years, including the step and column increases, but I really want to emphasize the fiscal stabilization plan. That is a separate agenda item for this evening. The only way that we're able to make the budget work for the current year +2 is by the full implementation of the fiscal stabilization plan. The plan that you have before you this evening is the same plan that came before you in May. That was ultimately approved for the budget in June. It just has the execution of the plan, as Dr. Paramo said a few moments ago. A few of the aspects of that plan assumed that we'd be able to make cuts or reductions, staff reductions in August at the customary second deadline for workforce reductions. That time period was closed to us by the state, something that has never been done before and was quite unexpected, but that prevented us being able to fully execute the fiscal stabilization plan this year. With all of that said, I'm going to just focus on this last slide, and then I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Abdelhamid. The most important thing here in the headline is halfway down this screen is the fund balance breakdown. The ending fund balance right above it, and then the fund balance breakdown goes from there. But the ending fund balance right at the halfway point in bold, you can see that for this current year, we are projecting to end the year with $28 million in our reserve for on the unrestricted side. If you go to the line directly above it, you can see what we began the year with, which was $37 million. And so we're projecting a budget deficit this year of $9 million. So I don't want anyone to walk away confused. We have a structural deficit that is not solved with this budget. The reason that we're able to have a positive certification is because of the difficult and strategic decisions this board and prior boards has made to have a reserve that allows us a runway to make the changes that we need. So that runway is going to be quickly depleted over the current year +2. If you look at the second data set, it says 24-25. I apologize, that's a typo. It should be 25-26. You'll see the budget ending fund balance at 18 million. And then in that final column, which again, I apologize for not updating, that's the 26-27 year. That's the 7.5 million. What makes up that $7.5 million ending fund balance? That sounds like we still will have a lot of money at the end of that third year. The issue is that the state requires us to maintain a 3% reserve for economic uncertainties. That reserve cannot be touched by us here locally without being approved by the county and the state. Typically, they only will do that when there is a true fiscal emergency, and it's typically kind of a last-ditch effort to avoid a state or county takeover of a local district. So again, we shouldn't view the reserve for economic uncertainties as something that can really be utilized. And so once you pull up that out of our ending fund balance and you pull out two other figures, a $400,000 vacation liability, that's classified employees who have earned vacation, they have a right to have it paid out. So that's, again, we have to set aside funding for that to be able to fund that liability. And then we have some revolving cash. That's just cash that's in various places throughout the district. We really are ending the year in the third year with $282,000 kind of left spendable. Okay, So again, the way that we get to that on a budget that's about $200 million is through the fiscal stabilization plan that we're asking you to approve later tonight. Okay? That's the key headline. The key headline is this is what we've been anticipating. There wasn't any big change from June, but unfortunately there wasn't any improvement, which would allow us to be able to reduce some of the reductions planned for in the fiscal stabilization plan.
Mr. Cantwell, can
Yes.
you just, if the 3%, if the 6.75 or 6.735 million is supposed to be 3%, that assumes it's 3% of 224 million, right? So what is it 3% of?
That's 3% of operating expenditures. That's on the restricted and unrestricted side.
Got it. Which is 224, somewhere around there? Like, I guess, does that reduce as our overall revenues or expenditures go down over time? I mean, it looks like it's going down somewhat, but I just was
it
curious.
goes down each year as again, expenditures do go down, absolutely. Yep. Okay, we've got a lot more of the detail, and that's where I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Abdelhamid.
Good evening, distinguished board members, BUSD colleagues, BUSD community members. If you're not familiar with myself, my name is Miriam Abdelhamid. I'm the Director of Fiscal. I've been here nearly 1 year, which is very, I'm having flashbacks, but thank you so much, Andy. I'm going to continue here. We are on this slide. Okay. So we're going to take a little bit closer look at our first interim numbers. Again, we just presented more so our 3-year look. This is looking specifically at this year. And so this is showing our general fund, both unrestricted and restricted, just on the revenue side. So the first 2 charts show our revenue for unaudited actuals for 23-24, and then our adopted revenue budget for 24-25. So since our adopted budget in June, our first interim revenue budget has been adjusted upwards by about 1.5 million. Again, that's part of this first interim, is that we're coming to you with revisions, and so this is part of that revision. This adjustment includes both kind of upward and downward adjustments depending on the individual revenue line. The upward adjustment stemmed primarily from federal, state, local revenue, so not LCFF, being adjusted upwards, primarily looking at revenue streams that we expected to be higher than we anticipated in June. One of those being our Medi-Cal reimbursement. So I'm sure several of you are familiar, but again, we get reimbursed based on the amount that we're spending towards school mental health, special education, things of that sort. So again, as we increase our expenditures, which we have been, our reimbursement increases as it comes back in. So that's one thing that increased from adopted to current. And so another aspect to this increase is that we get gift revenue throughout the year, and we adjust our budget based on that. So we don't adopt a budget number for gifts that is probably indicative of what it will be at the end of the year. Again, if we get $4 million in gift revenue for a year, we're not going to assume we're going to get $4 million that next year, because that's just not a conservative approach. So as we get gift revenue, we adjust our budget. Okay, let's go to... So as far as what drives the revenue side, again, people have brought this up a couple times tonight, but LCFF being our main driver, it's comprised of state aid, property taxes, and EPA, our education protection account. But again, I think a colleague just mentioned, people assume that this property tax amount, as it goes up, it increases our revenue portion, but really that just decreases our state aid, because it's a combination of those funds. So our total LCFF, if our property taxes go up, it's just reducing that additional component that we're getting. So again, that's just a little bit of context. Again, this depicts kind of our base grant numbers, our COLA numbers that are factored in. Again, Andy mentioned we're using a 2.93% COLA for next year. Again, depending on the January numbers, that might change, and so that will be reflected at second interim to show you how that will look in the MYP for next year. So we'll go to on the expenditure side. So taking a closer look at expenditures for first interim, again, we're showing 23, 24 actual, unaudited actuals, then our adopted budget for 24, 25, and then our first interim number. So there are a few reasons why the first interim number looks drastically higher, and I think at adopted budget, I kind of anticipated or foreshadowed that would be the case. That's really primarily because we didn't adopt carryover numbers, and so we could take the approach where we adopt a carryover number on the expenditure side. If that number is much less, then we have to then cut a bunch of money. And so you don't want to tell people that you're going to get a certain budget and then have to cut it midway through the year. And so, again, a more conservative approach, adopt what you know is happening, and then as you get carryover numbers based on your unaudited actuals, you add it back at first interim. So again, that was the approach we took. So you can see most of the carryovers, they're in a 4316 object. So that's in the 4,000s. And so that's why it looks like books and supplies kind of exploded in first interim, but really that's in a 4316 object. And as departments, as sites determine what they're going to do with that carryover, it then gets dispersed to specific expenditure lines.
And if I can jump in here, just want to let you know, I don't like this practice. I would much rather we carry forward a reasonable estimate, and let's say it's 98% of the right number, and then it just adjusts a little bit at first interim. To me, that makes so much more sense than just saying, oh, we're not going to have anything, and then all of a sudden having it shoot up this much. When I shared that with our FCMAT auditors, that's my budgeting practice that I've carried forward from other districts, they said, wow, that's a bad practice. They said that is not what FCMAT recommends. FCMAT recommends exactly the way that Dr. Abdelhamid and her team are doing it. And so I think maybe even in times past I've referenced that was one of the changes I was wanting to bring about, but we decided not to implement that based on FCMAT's feedback. So this is the way that the state experts who we brought in to audit our processes said we're supposed to do it.
That was nice that you publicly acknowledged that, by the way.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be the inverse just now. No. So again, this was the primary reason between the adopted budget and the first interim budget. A couple other differences already mentioned, but part of our fiscal stabilization plan was not implemented fully for this current fiscal year, and so that had kind of brought back our first interim number to be a little bit higher again than adopted.
And what's that? Sorry, what's that delta on the didn't get our fiscal stabilization implemented? How much would that have been?
I think it's about 1.5. I think it's about 1.5 million.
Okay,
So
that's right.
I think it might be a little bit different than that based on attrition. But I think just based on the fact that we assumed it was going to be 1.5, we weren't able to make those reductions. And so anyone who had potentially been, on that list potentially was not on that list anymore.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so then again, other changes are just based on step and column adjustments. If we had any new personnel with new credentials, obviously that's factored in. We did do a thorough vacancy cleanup, so I am excited that our team was actually able to do that. And so we wanted to make sure that we are only budgeting for vacant positions that are currently being actively sought out to be filled. But again, this 237 million number assumes, as of current, all of our vacancies are going to get filled. That's just probably not the reality. But again, a conservative approach. By second interim, we'll know a little bit more about if those vacancies didn't get filled, then this number will decrease a little bit. Yeah.
Sorry, just to make sure I'm understanding that. So it assumes that they'd all get filled tomorrow,
Yes,
essentially.
exactly,
But we're counting the savings that we got from not having them filled as of yet. Assuming basically January 1st or 6th
we take
or whatever.
actuals and then take current and then forecast out. And so vacancies that weren't filled the first couple months, then we're not factoring those in.
And that feels like a very reasonable way to do it. I just was curious.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So we'll skip over to, did I go to the next? Okay. And so again, other expenditure drivers, I think we've heard this a little bit from the board, but our PERS and STIRS rates are incredibly high. And so when we're talking personnel, we're talking a lot more than just a person. There's 30+% usually based on statutory benefits.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah,
Because
sure.
I don't want anyone in the public or any of our staff members to think that retirement benefits and packages aren't important to us.
Oh, yeah,
it is the repayment of money lost from 2008 that drives those numbers up. That is my complaint. So I want to be really, really clear about that. So we owe our employees their retirement, but the additional part is what's killing us.
Yeah.
What's that? Yes, of something that wasn't anything that we did. We didn't create the problem, but the STRS board and the PERS board says, but you're going to fix it. And that's just not justifiable to me.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So again,
And we've said it many times, but I'll say it again here. STRS has doubled since the recession in 08. PERS has nearly tripled. It's at like 2.6% or 260% increase, and by 26, 27, it will be a full tripling of where the rate was back in 08. So those decisions that were made at the state level and now are being forced to be paid locally are not insignificant amounts. They oftentimes can absorb all of or nearly all of a COLA that's coming to us.
Well, and one thing that the LAO office mentioned, or I guess that's repetitive, the Legislative Analyst Office mentioned during the CSBA conference was often they get, like, there will be an increase to this year's Prop 98 money that will be like one-time funds. Now, this year they're going to repay their rainy day funds, or they're going to put money back in the rainy day bucket, but that is something that they could use with these one-time funds. If they don't want to allocate them directly out to school districts, they could do Ms. Tabbitt's very favorite
and they have
repaying back
at
to
one
student
point
first.
in time, the governor did put some money into that pot to reduce, but we've been paying this back since 2013. That's 11 years. So, and no one has ever said, this is the bucket we need to fill. And it's not just us, it's every district in the state. So this is the bucket we need to fill. But what is that bucket? How long do we fill it? Do we fill it to 100%? What if we just get to 75% and we stop? I mean, what does it take? And nobody says a word, and we all just keep paying into it. So it's just, sorry, it's my, my soapbox.
And I'm sure you've spoken to our incoming assembly member about this, so.
It's on the agenda tomorrow. Yes, we're meeting tomorrow. And I've spoken about it at 5 Star. And anybody that will listen to me gets this because a percentage, 3%, 5%. Mr. Carter had a concept of a flat tax that you pay based upon, we've all talked about the district next door that gets double per student what we get. We just found out that there's a 65% increase to the concentration grant at the end if you reach the threshold. That's a huge number. Granted, it's a smaller amount of students, but it's a huge number that we will never qualify for, ever, unless, I don't know, we said everybody that lives in a certain area code is now homeless. But we can't do that because that would be ridiculous. So anyway, it will never, 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 never reach that. And so it's just, it's what do you call it? It's punitive.
Yeah.
So why not make it in a way that it's more equitable, because it's now not. So there you go.
I didn't mean to put Char on her soapbox.
I know. Sorry. And I did have a Celsius tonight, so it's worse.
Okay. Again, this slide is just depicting some of the expenditure drivers that are really outside of our control, and again are part of our multi-year projection. Our CPI, our Consumer Price Index, is something that we just standardly use related to goods and services. Health insurance, we're assuming, again, a 7% increase per year. We assumed a mid-year increase of about 6%. But again, these are just factors that are kind of weighing in on the back-end formulas for our projections. But again, I think you have the full kind of word packet. I think this slide just describes in text some of the stuff we've already kind of articulated, things related to the fiscal stabilization plan having not been in effect, and so that had to be in effect as per our first interim budget. Again, step and column changes, that's always being forecasted. Again, vacancy cleanup. I think the carryover funds is the biggest component of the budget increasing. Again, Andy kind of depicted why we did that the way we did. But yes, again, happy to answer questions. Also happy to take back any sort of analysis people are kind of thinking of or considering. I know our team is kind of at the point where we're nearly operating at optimal efficiency, I would say. And so I think that was my biggest thing for the first year. And I think now we can really take a broader look on analysis. I think this is the first time all year that my team has been fully staffed. So I'm just very excited about this next phase where we actually can dig into some of the numbers and say, what creative ideas are there? And again, I wouldn't want to bring something without it being fully fleshed out and kind of scenario planned and the analysis having been done. But if there are ideas that you would like our team to start looking into, happy to do it and excited about it.
Two things. So on that, I would love, and I can put this into our agenda item document, but we had talked about, we'd reviewed kind of where we were on the FICMAT recommendations. I think we're probably about due for an update of progress against some of those recommendations. Based on this, like, I'm fully confident that you guys are implementing them all, but it would be good for us to get a report back.
Sure.
And then a more specific question is, talking about the benefit. So I know we had an estimate for what the health and wellness changes were going to cost us. Did they end up costing us about what we had expected when all the elections were made? Was that, like, did we feel like our forecasting was accurate there when we made the changes? Because that was a change to like the maximum, right? Or the
cap.
The cap, there we go.
Yeah. I would have to see what the assumed amount was prior to that, because I think I got here right as that cap was being implemented. So I don't know what numbers were being phrased or kind of passed around
Me
before.
neither.
But I can see what that differential was, if that's what you're saying. Yeah, we'll put that on.
Short answer, yes, but she'll provide the numbers by email.
I'm really happy to hear that your staff you're fully
Thank you.
staffed, because that will make a big difference.
Yeah.
And maybe when I come visit you, you won't be so.
If my desk is clear, that will mean that things are on the up.
Okay. That's good. Yeah, because I could barely see you.
Yeah.
You're like, stand on your toes.
Our team is doing a holiday gathering, and I saw the superlatives, and I won most likely to lose things on their desk. So. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, 11, are we going now to 11B? I mean 11A?
No, I think we're doing this.
All right, let's do fiscal stabilization. 11, on this one, yes. Can I get a motion, please, for 11C? Moved by Ms. Tabbitt and seconded by Vice President Kamkar. Any discussions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, motion carries 5-0. Thank you. 11C, sorry.
Yes.
No. D. 11D, approval of the fiscal stabilization plan required by LA County Office of Education based on the adopted budget. Mr. Cantwell.
Yeah, we've talked about this quite a bit already. Again, this first began as a county requirement for the June adoption 23. We updated it in December of 23. In March is when we received a qualified budget from the county, and that's when their scrutiny of our fiscal stabilization plan, ensuring that we actually implemented it, increased. So there are a number of positions on here that I want to make sure it's understood that a few of them, for instance, elementary PE, one that we've talked about a number of times in the past, that's something that we are actively working on finding a way to save. None of the positions on here are ones that we think will not have an impact if they are implemented. However, the budget that you just approved assumes that these positions are being eliminated, and so unless we can find savings elsewhere, all the positions listed on here will need to receive or go through the layoff process in the spring.
Thank you. Yes, Vice President Kamkar.
And my understanding is on B, the classroom teacher reductions, we are assuming that that will be from attrition and declining enrollment. Is that right?
Yeah, the current FTE reduction for classroom teachers does not assume any increased class sizes. It's based on declining enrollment. And we are hopeful that nearly all of these will be able to happen through attrition. The only complication will be on some of the single subject will be exactly, where the retirements come or the separations and where we have, reduced course offerings.
I do have a question. So I know that at least in higher ed chambers, there's echoes of tremendous cuts to federal programs, especially for, dreamers and programs that, are we expecting anything coming our way in that?
Yeah, it's so early to try to guess what's going to happen. The only silver lining, perhaps, is that we receive so little money already from the feds. And so they really don't have the same impact. But it is in two very high vulnerable, high need populations where we do receive the federal funding. It's through the some special education funding and then through the title programs, Title I, Title III. If you go back to that budget that we just presented, you can see the overall federal revenue makes up about 4% of our overall revenue. And so again, in the grand scheme of things, we hope we will retain every dollar. The only things I've heard so far are the possibility that we'll receive it as a block grant and that some of the reporting will go away. But I'm not going to try to predict what the future holds at the federal level.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, can I get a motion for item 11D? Second? Anyone wants to second it? All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. 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 Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Now we're going back to 11A, right?
We're going back to 11B. 11A was pulled.
Sorry. 11B, adoption of Resolution 14 declaring intent to negotiate community workforce agreement. I'm sorry, you just said 11B.
Yes, I said, this is why not answering your email during meetings would be helpful.
Excuse me?
11A was pulled.
I understand.
Going back to 11B.
You might have just clicked on that one. It's okay.
Yeah, his shows 11B as resolution 14.
Look at the written one, Armand. The printed one is always the most accurate.
No, so now we're on this one. This one's right.
Yeah, the printed one's right.
Oh, okay. 11B, reinstatement of supervisor custodial group, thank you. Reinstatement of supervisor custodian grounds operation position on classified supervisors and managers salary schedule B.
Second.
So I need discussions regarding this item.
Sure. Do we want staff to explain it first? Sure. Go ahead.
It's yours.
I'm going to jump in, even though this is Dr. Achenko's item. This is a longstanding position in our district. It was held as recently as 3 years ago. We had an incumbent who was not able to qualify for some of the licensing requirements, and so we made a change in the structure of our custodial and grounds department. We had to add an additional supervisor level role over grounds as a result. Now that we've had turnover, we lost our daytime custodial supervisor. We're trying to find the best way to meet the needs of both custodial and grounds department. And the feedback we've received from the custodial team as well as from our facilities director, and in my estimation, is to return ourselves to the prior leadership structure of the department.
And is this cost neutral?
Nearly, yeah. It's under $4,000 the net fiscal impact as a result of the overall changes taking place within the facilities team that incorporates the change in our trades manager compensation as well.
No, it is. I don't see the need to go backwards. It's been working fine. We're looking at cutting 1.5 million in the spring, this moving into bringing back a position of really higher than we're currently operating with, there's going to be a chance down the line where you're going to want to add leads and whatever else. And I just don't, at this point in time, I just don't see the purpose. I just don't see the need. It's been operating great, and I'm not hearing that the custodians are thrilled with this objective, but that's just, what I'm hearing. So
If
I'm not in favor of this. I got to say that.
I am in no way trying to disagree. I just would like to clarify that the leadership of that department does not feel it's been working effectively at all. We just lost a highly qualified custodial supervisor because of burnout, because it's not been working. We have had 2 evening custodial supervisors in the past 12 months. We've had 2 daytime supervisors. We need to find some reconfiguration of custodial leadership. If it's not returning to the old structure, then we will be bringing forward an additional FTE of leadership within custodial, because the current configuration is not sustainable for 2 people to do this role.
And again, what was the impact, 6,000?
4,000.
That's for this position, because then you're going to need to fill the custodial supervisor and the ground supervisor, or leads. Sorry, I get those terms wrong. So,
Yeah, we didn't want to present an inaccurate, incomplete picture, so this nets out all of that, because we would not backfill a ground supervisor, we'd be bringing back the old grounds lead position, which is at a lower cost.
And you have people identified for the new positions already?
For the BASA positions, yes. For the CSEA positions, it would go through a regular recruitment and with opportunities for application.
Great, thank you.
Sabbath, any other questions?
Nope.
All right.
I think I said it all.
I appreciate the conversation.
I do, just right now, in terms of right now, the idea of bringing people in, it's just such a touchy time. So can you just give me a little bit more information in terms of how that structure is working? If it's been, that position hasn't been there for 3 years, and so now you want to reinstate it, but what's happened in those 3 years? You've had 2 other people doing that position, or, wait, explain that to me?
Yeah, so the leadership structure that we had a couple of years ago was this position. We had 2 custodial supervisors, and we had a grounds lead. Grounds lead reported to this position. Because of, again, the circumstance of an individual incumbent in the position, we were not able to maintain this classification. We reduced it to take away the grounds responsibility because they did not meet a licensing requirement. And so because of that, we no longer had any leadership over the grounds department, and so we added a new leadership position of ground supervisor. The ground supervisor, and then we had the 2 custodial supervisors. All 3 of those individuals reported up to our facilities director. So this new structure would still maintain 3 managers. It would now just have the individual responsible for grounds also responsible for custodial. Grounds has 10 team members, custodial has nearly 100, and so the need for custodial support is higher than the need for grounds.
I feel like I need a picture at some point, but I still support it.
That actually would be really helpful. Not for this particular.
No, but I think potentially what we could see for these kinds of things is like if we could see an org chart.
Yeah, that would
just
actually be
like
great.
Current and proposed would be super helpful, just for people like me who have not spent so much deep time thinking about the org chart of facilities.
We can definitely do that in the future, and we can still do that for this item after the fact if you guys still are comfortable voting, and then I can send that to you via email.
Can we bring this back for the next meeting with the chart? There's questions.
No, I mean, I just am thinking that would be helpful in
Yeah.
situations like this where we have a number of moving pieces. I still support it.
I'm just, I just, how do you look the PE teachers in the eye and say, yeah, you got to go, or whoever we choose is going to go, but we just created a new position that we haven't had for 3 years, and that just doesn't work for me. It's not fair.
But we're
It's
not
not
creating,
right.
I mean, my understanding is we're not creating a new position. We're filling a role that is needed to be filled
We're
for the
bringing
past.
it was eliminated. We're bringing it back.
But, okay, but I mean, I don't know that I think it is a fair comparison to say, how can we look our PE teachers in the face? I mean, what we're.
I didn't mean to say that we were eliminating PE teachers if anyone's watching. I'm just saying that's an example.
I mean, I guess what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that this is a position that sounds like it's much needed. And that I know that we lost a custodial, Bruno, because he was burnt out. And so for me, we're not creating a brand new position that doesn't exist before. We're bringing something back. It sounds like because the absence of us created enormous issues within the department from which it was absent. And please correct me if I'm wrong.
That's correct. Let me take a stab at this. Sometimes, in light of a budget crisis, we will make adjustments to save money. And the unintended consequences is that when we're very successful, it looks like we should just leave everything alone, except we're not taking into account the impact it has on employees. I'll give you just one example. For the better part of a year, we have not had an assistant superintendent. We have not had an assistant superintendent, and I can't afford to get a replacement because I can't afford to pay too high salaries. So what we've done is we've taken that job, we've divided it into thirds, and Peter's picking up a third of that, I'm picking up a third of that, and we moved Oscar into being interim, and he's picking up the other third because it wouldn't have been fair having him do that in the position that he was in. I'm telling you, I'm burned out. It's exhausting. And we're doing it, and we're keeping the balls in the air, right? We're keeping the balls in the air, but it's not necessarily the right thing to do. I totally respect the board's decision on this, but what I will tell you is the alternative is that I'm going to come back and ask for a different position that's going to cost us more money. This is going to cost us $4,000, and I think that is the cheapest route to prevent the burnout we're talking about and the loss of employees.
Any other questions? I think if we can look at the org chart at one point, it will help. And I'll tell you why, because in the past we did have some certain concerns and questions and about certain, individuals working at Grant. I mean, we've had cases of people who were not doing their work, as you may recall. So I think it's important, at least for me personally, I'll kind of get a better feel of, what's happening right now, especially with these positions. It's not so much the money, it's not much, but at the same time, I think if it's filling a need, that's fine with me. I think what's important is at least for us to kind of have a better understanding of some of these positions. Because in the past, you've given us reports of individuals that were supposedly were working, right? Who were just sitting in their car and not doing the work. I'm just saying that this is not the case.
I guess I'm a little unclear as to those positions that you're referencing. I mean, I feel very informed on what the jobs that people do. I think the org chart would be absolutely helpful for us to have as like an existing document to reference during these conversations. But I mean, I definitely am unclear and happy to have you elaborate on the connection between the people that didn't do a good job in this current position that we're looking.
It's not about that. What it is that there's clarification is important. That's why.
Right, but I guess
I really don't know.
Clarification on what?
These positions, how they're intertwined, these management positions. Ms. Tabbitt just said that this will create other positions that we have to move up, or other hires that could
Or
come.
Dr. Promo, you mentioned that if we don't approve this, at a later date, you'll bring back another position that costs more. What would that position be? Or what would that look like? But we already have 3 custodial supervisors. Well, we have the positions in place. A supervisor and 2 leads?
We have 2 supervisors, one of which is currently vacant.
Okay.
All right.
You're probably thinking of the old structure where we did have the 3. One of them was Mark Clark, and then there was 2 supervisors connected with Mark. This is bringing back Mark's position.
Just bring us the chart as well so we have a better understanding.
So we're not voting?
No, can we
We are
still vote on
voting.
this? Okay.
So do you have a motion? Can we get a second?
Did we do them?
Me.
Vice President Sponsor Camcar moved, and Dr. Weisberg.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed?
All opposed?
No. Or whatever the word is.
You
He
can-
asks if there are abstentions, and you can abstain.
Anyone abstains? Okay. So we have 1 no, 1 abstain, 3 yeses. Motion passes 3 yeses. All right. All right, next we have consent agenda items. So, for the next item, does any of board members wish to pull any items?
I thought there was, I just want to make sure I'm getting this right between this one and the draft. Because there was not any bond
No,
funding on here, correct?
I don't know where.
There's a notice of completion for 12Q, but I think we're okay there.
Okay, you guys are, we're on consent items.
We're aware of.
Thank you. Consent?
And we talked about the flooring stuff last week, so I'm good on consent. Thanks.
All right, you're good? Anyone else wishes to pull something? No? All right, may I have a motion and a second to approve items 12A through 12T as presented? Second?
I'm not the only one.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Any discussions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you. Motion passes 5-0. All right, next we have 13A, reports from board members. Dr. Weisberg?
Yep.
Reports from the board?
I heard you. I wanted to give a big shout out to the Burbank Adult School. I was able to attend their certified nurse assistant pinning ceremony, which was wonderful. And just encourage anybody who gets a chance to do it. I want to give a special shout out to RN Program Director Lisa Powell, Reginald Saldana and Vanessa Diaz, who are the two instructors, our fabulous director of the adult school, Juan Noguera, Principal Todd LaVenture, Assistant Principal Elvis Carrillas. And I also wanted to give a big thank you to the Sunrise Rotary, who gave scholarship checks to all 18 of the nurses who got their pin that day. So it was a really wonderful ceremony and just full of a lot of positive energy and so wonderful to hear. And also the two speeches that were given by both of they had one person from the AM class and one person from the PM class, and they were really extraordinary. So appreciated the invitation, appreciated being able to go there, and look forward to the next opportunity to go back to the adult school. I also wanted to give a shout out, and Dr. Paramo, help me out here. We had some amazing student achievements. So we had some of Ms. Fuhrer's students, and also our mock trial team did
Correct.
some exceptional stuff. I'm going to look up the mock trial thing really quickly so that I can read it. But could you talk a little bit about?
Sure. The Amy Fuhrer's class is in robotics, and it is at Dolores Huerta. And she is fairly new at teaching the curriculum, but she has really revitalized that as an elective for kids. And they recently performed in a contest and did exceptionally well. They did very well, and she is very proud, and we're very proud of her. Mock trial, we have an adult who is on fire with this program. He absolutely loves it, and his enthusiasm really gets the kids going, and they are doing exceptionally well.
Yeah.
In addition, so these are two programs that Burbank Unified School District are very proud of, and we're proud of our kids and how well they're doing.
And yeah, I found the email. Special shout out. So there were 130 teams, and Burbank High Junior Renu Demeti, she won the Best Prosecution Lawyer honor. She won Best Pretrial Lawyer last year. So she is a certified, awesome human. And Mr. Diamond also let us know, without him knowing about it, they nominated and he received the Outstanding Attorney Coach Award. So just a huge shout out to both of those programs and a chance to celebrate student achievement.
Thank you. Ms. Tabbitt?
Part, right, where I get to talk about the wonderful evening I had last night. Our wonderful community member, Suzanne Wirtz, who puts on several times a year her storytelling feature from Jam Creative, I think. We attended last night, and it's a fundraiser for FSA. Wonderful show, full house. I attended with Lorette Cano and my friend, who we all happen to be what, Miss Cano? We all went to see Trojans. We had a great time. I just want everyone to do that again. 'Cause you're just jealous, Armand.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to show my support.
You're welcome. Anytime. Happy to do it. So it was a great evening and a great event for FSA. It's that time of year where holiday programs are going on. I'm attempting to attend Friday night's event at Burbank High and hopefully to Burroughs on Saturday, if I can do all of that holiday celebration stuff in one weekend. It'll be great. And of course, we'll all be back next Thursday, same location, same time. See you then. Thank you, Dr. Agakanian.
Thank you.
Oh, and good luck, everyone, on finals coming up. Oh, sorry. One last thing. I sent a text today talking about, and my phone died, so I can't tell you which AB it is, but when I went at CSBA conference, I went to a couple of sections on AI specifically. And the AB, do you remember what it is, 3859, something like that?
Yeah.
Is now requiring us to teach our students AI skills, one way or the other, and we don't have a plan. I'm sorry to say that out loud, Dr.
No,
Promo.
to be honest, that is what typically happens. They pass legislation or they pass a bill, and then they want us to quickly catch up.
Right.
So we are in very good company, along with every other school district in California, trying to get this curriculum put together and figuring out what our requirements are.
And I wanted you all to know, and everybody listening and watching, and my fellow board members, that part of my discussion when I meet with Nick Schultz is these things are great, but send us money with them, because we don't have the additional money, even though we have a new grounds supervisor. We don't have the money to do these things. We do not have the money to do these things, and we're happy to do them, and we're good at them, but we need some money to do that. So, thank you very much.
Please.
Just two things. Number one, I did go to Stevenson winter program last week because my grandson was in it. But it's really nice. I like what they do. It's they team up the families for the FFS, the Families for Stevenson, pay for the Gary Dance Studio to go in for a number of weeks. And so the performances they do, it's non-denominational. It's not holiday oriented. It's the theme this year was out of this world. So it was space oriented. So I mean, it was just so cute. And my grandson was dancing to that song by One Republic. You know, stars. We'll be counting stars. So it was a really well done. The kids, you could see the delight on their faces. They were really having fun doing it, which is, you know, exactly what you want for them being introduced to dance. And also just in terms of the whole issue of AI, it was just interesting. Just this morning I was driving in and my niece and I were talking about the whole issue of AI with so many programs coming up, because one of the teachers that I work with, she was saying, look there's this new thing called Brisk It. You do it and it'll give you lessons and stuff. And we were like, yeah, it's all AI, And so we were saying, in terms of that idea of how can we use this, especially for, kids, especially with kids that are struggling, we were saying, wow, what if we actually did have it and have to, going in and saying, almost what's wrong, or I don't know what, does it give you just a skeleton that we can start hanging some, ornaments on or something, So I don't know. That was just my AI for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just have a couple short things. I enjoyed our time together at CSBA. One thing, Ms. Tabbitt, that came up that I was meaning to ask Mr. Cantwell about was that there is a fund at the state level for mandate reimbursement. So when they do unfunded mandates, that we should go and ask for money for that. I'm not sure how much we are actually doing that, because I think sometimes it's hard to tell whether it's like the new thing that actually cost us money or it was something that we wanted to do anyway, et cetera. Like, for example, my guess is that because we are implementing our own cell phone policy ahead of state requirement, nothing we would spend on that would qualify, right? Because we would be doing it anyway. But something for us, I think, to explore. And then I just think it was really, it's always interesting to hear from other school boards in terms of how they operate, which is why I feel like I kind of started us out with, or added some things to be like the resident kind of governance nag on some of this stuff. Because it's really interesting to hear kind of the difference that it can make. So I'm really looking forward to our retreat after, or during the holiday, while we're hopefully not working, but we are working on board stuff. So looking forward to coming together and talking about governance and meeting norms and all that good stuff. So looking forward to that, and looking forward to holiday programs as always. My guess is that McKinley does the same thing, but there are many holiday songs sung in Spanish at Disney, which I really very much enjoy. So it's got my kids singing some just songs that would not have been part of my upbringing, and I'm enjoying them. So it's very cool. Thanks.
Thank you. Again, I do, in closing, want to thank again my colleague, Dr. Weisberg, for her services as the president. And also want to congratulate our newest board member, Ms. Kano. I'm looking forward to working with you as well. And with that said, we have one retirement. Carol Walkoff, did I say it right? Roosevelt Elementary teacher, began her services in 1697 and just retired recently. So with
1697?
1697.
Oh.
Not the year of
I need another Celsius.
Sorry. January 6th. Well, you never know. No. January 6th, 1997, and she will be retiring. She's retiring, so thank you very much for your services. Enjoy your retirement. With that said, meeting adjourned at 8:34 p.m.